Hi, welcome to my show. Are you in the mood for dessert? Something that's creamy, of course it's sweet, has a little bit of a flaky crust, and a nice, delicious, lightly honey-flavored syrup all over it? Well, I've got the dessert for you. It's galatoboureko. It's very, very famous Greek dessert. Gala is the word for milk, so this is a milk custard pastry, and it's got everything your heart could desire. It's got a wonderful, sumptuously rich custard filling. It's got the crispy fillo top and bottom, and then it's soaked in a wonderful syrup. You can't beat it. It's very different and very tasty. You'll really enjoy it. Before we get started, just a reminder, be sure to look us up on our website, Tweeton.com. You'll find today's recipe and all the recipes that we've used so far on this show. Not only that, but you'll find links to other Greek sites that will give you more insight into the Greek culture. And you'll find a way to email me, and I would love to hear from you. Galatoboureko is like so many other phyllo-based Greek desserts. It has three components. You've got the filling, you've got the phyllo crust, and the syrup. To make the filling, you need the following ingredients. You need 2 quarts of milk, 8 cups of milk. For thickening the custard, making it firm enough so that you can make nice serving pieces, you need some farina or cream of wheat, 1 cup. And this is something that Greeks use a lot for thickening. For the sumptuous, wonderful flavor and richness and thickness that you get in an egg custard, of course you need eggs, 8 eggs. For flavoring, to make this custard really tasty, you need some vanilla extract, and you need some freshly grated orange peel. If you can get up to a tablespoon, that's great, or just get the peel off of 1 medium-sized orange. A little bit of extra richness, that's a cube of butter, sweet, unsalted butter, mixed into the custard mixture, and of course for sweetness, some sugar. Now this is the filling. For the syrup, you need some sugar, some honey, a couple of cinnamon sticks to give a light hint of cinnamon, and a piece of orange peel. And for the pita part of this milk pie, you're going to need fillo and 3 cubes of butter, sweet, unsalted butter. Just a word about working with fillo. When you buy the frozen prepared fillo dough from your local grocery store, be sure that you thaw it before you even think about working with it. You can thaw it in your refrigerator overnight, or just leave it out on the countertop for a few hours until it thaws completely. No matter what you do, if you're going to use it, you must have it at room temperature. Do not attempt to use it while it's still chilled. And finally, be sure you have all your filling ingredients ready, completely ready to go. Don't you dare open this. Package up unless everything's ready to go. The fillo just dries out way too quickly. You can't open it and then just kind of set it aside. I'm going to start work on the custard filling, and the first thing I want to do is break my eggs, my 8 eggs. I don't want to wait till the last minute and be in the middle of dealing with hot milk or bubbling milk and farina to do this. So I'm going to get this out of the way. And I could beat them up with an electric mixer, but this old-fashioned guy is just as good. So here goes. Beat them up so well that you can't tell where the yolk begins and the egg white ends. Really nicely incorporated. Okay, I think my eggs are all done, and I'm going to set them aside but I'm glad that they're done and they're taken care of. Now the next thing I want to do is take care of the butter that's going to be incorporated into the custard. So what I need to do is melt that 1 cube of sweet unsalted butter. You must use unsalted. Just won't have the same flavor at all. I don't know what kind of flavor it'll have, but it won't be that good. And so into the microwave this goes for quick melting. Alright, so now I've got my eggs ready, I've got my butter ready. Now I need to hit the stovetop. This is going to make a pretty large quantity of pudding or custard. And so I want a large saucepan and I want to turn it up to a medium heat. And pour in my 8 cups or 2 quarts of milk and get them warmed up. Close to scalding, not quite to boiling. This will take a while. I don't want to do this over really high heat because I might burn this, and the burnt milk flavor is not what I want at all. It's been anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes and my milk has been heating, and every few minutes I would stir it and give it the definitive check. I use my impeccably clean finger, stick it in there, and yikes, it's a little hot. So now I know it's ready. Right now I'm going to take it off the heat for just a few moments. I wanted it off the heat when I add the farina or the cream of wheat. I want to make sure that I get this all incorporated, it's all smooth, there's no lumps. And so I really didn't want any heavy-duty cooking going on while I'm doing this. So into the milk goes my farina, my cream of wheat, and I'm going to add it slowly. Now this is not the only thickening agent for this custard. Of course it's going to have the eggs, but it is an important stabilizing factor. It's going to stabilize the custard so that it will be thick and sturdy and hold its shape when it comes time to cut up the pieces for serving. Okay, I've incorporated this just fine, and now I'm going to put the saucepan or the big Dutch oven back on the heat at kind of a low heat, medium low. So you want to cook this for about 10 minutes. It should get fairly thick. And while I'm stirring this and cooking this, I'm going to add my melted butter, previously melted butter, and I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar. So now it's just a matter of cooking this for about 10 minutes till the whole thing is creamy and thick. It's been a little more than 10 minutes, and I've been cooking this and stirring it over medium heat, again because I don't want to burn the milk, and it has thickened up quite a bit. Now I want to take it off the heat and incorporate the eggs. This is about the consistency I was looking for. It's thickened, but it's still liquidy. All right, now what I need to do is get some of this hot milk farina mixture into the eggs, little bit by little bit, so that I temper the eggs. So I'm just going to do a ladleful at a time, slowly drizzling it in and beating the eggs as I drizzle in. The purpose is the same as with avvolemino, to keep the eggs from cooking quickly. I don't want them to scramble. I don't want them to be shocked by the heat of this custard mixture. So I'm just going to dribble it in little by little, and little by little I will be raising the temperature of the eggs actually cooking them, but they'll be silky, silken, as in a custard, rather than quickly heated, quickly cooked, as in scrambled eggs. That's not what we're looking for. So I'm going to just keep adding ladlefuls of this hot farina mixture. At least 2 ladlefuls. And I like to err on the side of caution. I'm going to keep adding as many ladlefuls as I can until I get tired of whisking. Mainly because I want to just make sure that I don't do anything funny with these eggs. I don't want to waste them. I've put in several ladlefuls. This is my last. And I'm going a little faster now because I'm pretty sure everything's okay. Now I just want to note 2 things. If I touch this bowl that had the room temperature eggs, it is now quite warm. And yet the eggs have not curdled, they have not scrambled, so they're just perfect. I also want to draw your attention to the farina mix over here. It thickens even more upon standing. And so you know that this custard is going to be very sturdy. It'll hold up to being cut into shapes. Now I want to get all the eggs into the farina mixture. So I'm just going to reverse the procedure. Here are the eggs that have been tempered with the hot farina, and little by little they go into the farina milk mixture, whisking them as I add them. So again, it's just ladleful by ladleful, incorporating them well. The most difficult thing about this whole process is just the whisking. I hope your whisking arm doesn't get tired. Oh, thanks. I really needed a whisking break. Okay, now that looks pretty good. Now that's going to be just a kind of a nice milk custard, but you want to add a little pizzazz to it. And the pizzazz comes in the form of some vanilla extract. And you want to add the vanilla extract at the end, while the custard is still warm, but not while it's cooking, mainly because of the fact that if you added the vanilla extract while the milk was cooking, well, the flavor would cook out. And then this thing's going to bake, so then you kind of doubly remove all that wonderful flavor. This recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. Now, if you think that's going to be a little too much for your taste buds, you could whittle it down to 1 tablespoon. But just remember, this mixture is also going to be baked. So some of this vanilla flavoring will naturally dissipate. You want to blend in the vanilla. And now you also want to add that freshly grated orange peel. That's going to add just a special dimension to this Galatoboureko custard filling. It needs to be freshly grated. It's just going to taste so much better if it's fresh. Freshly grated orange peel, either a tablespoon or the peel from 1 medium to large orange. Add that all, incorporate it well, and then set it aside. While my custard filling is cooling a bit, I'm going to get started on the syrup. What I need for the syrup are 2 cups of water. Now I can use either 2 cups of sugar or 1½ cups of sugar and 1/2 cup of honey. I really want to have just that touch of honey in my syrup. So I'm going to use 1½ cups of sugar, plain white granulated sugar, and 1/2 cup of honey. This will not be a very strong honey syrup, but it'll have just enough flavor to be interesting. There's my half cup, and in it goes. Now, for flavoring, in addition to the honey, I want to add just a hint of cinnamon, and I'm going to get that from using some stick cinnamon. I'm going to float 2 sticks of cinnamon in the syrup, and it will cook in the syrup and give off some of its lovely, lovely flavor. And to all that, just to add another dimension, a little extra touch of orange, I'm going to put in a nice sliver of orange peel. Now what I want to do is make sure that I'm just getting the peel of the orange and not any of the white membrane, because that's kind of bitter, or not much of the white membrane. And that's what I've got right here, a nice piece of orange peel, and I'm going to float that in too. And of course, I've washed the orange. Now I just want to bring this all up to a boil. I want to make sure that the sugar dissolves and the honey's incorporated in the water. And then I want to boil this anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to thicken it, and also to make sure all the flavor from the cinnamon and orange peel go throughout the whole syrup. All the sugar has melted. My syrup has come to a boil. And so I'm just going to turn the heat down a little bit. And keep it boiling for about 10, 15 minutes to get it nice and thick. It's been a little over 10 minutes, and my syrup has cooked, bubbled, and boiled, and I'm going to just take it off the heat, set it aside while I get the fillo all ready. Before I even think about opening my fillo package, I want to get my butter melted. So it's the 3 cubes of sweet, unsalted butter. So into the microwave it goes. When you're working with fillo, it's really important to have everything ready to go. Well, I've got my filling and it's set aside. I've got my butter melted and my pastry brush. Here's my pan, and here's the fillo. Now I can open this package. At least I could try to open it. And inside the fillo is thawed and it's room temperature. Before I actually cut into it, I want to butter my pan. Now this is a 15 by 10 glass pan, and I want to butter it completely, very well. Nice slatherings of butter, both on the bottom and on all the sides. Okay, what I want to do is get some fillo on the bottom, and I want to build up the sides, all the sides, so that I will have this moist filling completely encased. This is a fillo that isn't from heaven. It doesn't want to separate. And I'm not going to fuss with it. I'm just going to lay it down, and I will work around it. This is kind of a double layer here that didn't separate, and this is a single layer here that tore. It's not an auspicious beginning, but I am not going to sit around and fool around with trying to separate it. I'm not going to cry over the fact that it's not perfect. Okay, that's a start. Now this next piece is just fine. So down it goes. And remember, I'm trying to build up on the sides, simply because I want to enclose all that moist filling. So when you do your buttering between the layers, you want to make sure that you butter the sides. Keep them moist and pliable. Most phyllo packages hold around 20 sheets of phyllo. So what I want to do is put about 10 on the bottom, or half. I want half of the phyllo leaves to be on the bottom. And the reason for that is simply because you got to have a good foundation. I've learned when it comes to working with phyllo to throw caution to the wind. I work as quickly as I can, and if there are a few little tears or wrinkles or fold-overs or whatever, I don't even worry about it, because it's worse if the phyllo dries than if there's just a little bit of imperfection in the way it's laying down in the pan. And that's what I want to guard against. I really want to guard against the phyllo drying out. All right, this is my last phyllo sheet before I put in the filling. And I don't need to butter this because it's going to have the filling in there. And in we go. And it does have a wonderful smell with the vanilla and the orange. I'm not going to put all this filling in here just because I'm afraid that I won't have enough phyllo to fold over and enclose it. So I'm going to kind of just leave it as is, and I'll take care of this later and make it a special way. What I want to do right now is just get the phyllo pressed over the filling to envelop it. Maybe use a little knife to help me here. Press it down over the filling to keep the filling in place so it doesn't ooze out. I'm just going to make sure that the filling can't escape from the phyllo envelope. Okay, that looks pretty good here on this side. Over here. Okay, that just about does it. The filling is all enclosed, and I'm going to just brush these edges very lightly with butter. Now what I want to do is measure this phyllo and cut it to size. I don't want to have to deal with a lot of excess, so I'm going to just take my pan, lay it right on top of the phyllo, and cut away the excess so that when I put the phyllo sheets on, they'll just lay on top just perfectly. Now all I need to do is just get these sheets of phyllo on top of here, separated of course by butter. And this should go pretty fast because they're cut sort of to size, and I don't have to fuss too much with corners and that kind of thing. Just be sure you do brush each sheet generously. But be delicate. The filling underneath is still moist. If you have a heavy hand, you'll poke a hole in your phyllo, and you don't want to do that. Okay, I'm all done here, and I'm just coating the whole top with lots of butter, especially the edges, because I want to trim off this excess that has built up a little bit in the corners. So all I want is to take a little sharp knife and just hold down the edges here and trim off the excess. I don't want to trim too far into the phyllo or the pita. If I do that, then I run the chance of messing up the filling and having it ooze out all over the place. So this is just fine, just cutting off the excess right there. And And I'm going to do the same on all 4 corners. I've trimmed all the edges, and just one more nice glob of butter around the edges, especially the corners. And the only thing left for me to do now is to cut this. But remember, this is a very moist filling inside, so I don't want to cut all the way through. I don't want to put too much pressure on this. This is a little tricky. Just want to cut maybe the first 3 layers of phyllo, and I probably don't want to fight with the stuff here at the edge. It's just a matter of scoring. This will help me cut it all the way through when it's completely baked. I want to bake the galatoboureko in a 350-degree oven, anywhere from 50 to 60 minutes. At 50 minutes, I'm going to check it. The phyllo should be a very nice golden brown, and I want to stick a knife in there to make sure that the custard is completely set. The galatoboureko baked for an hour. It's puffy, it's nicely brown, and I poked it just to make sure the custard was completely set. I've let the galatoboureko cool for about 15 minutes, and I'm just cutting a little deeper into the scoring that I made, and it's just a matter of pouring the syrup over just as evenly as I can. Once I do that, I need to just leave the galatoboureko alone, at least for at least 2 hours, so it can soak up the syrup and cool down at the same time. And doesn't that look beautiful? Now this is a dessert that can't be beat.